up that this video or this Zoom meeting will be recorded. We could go ahead and get started. Before I get started, though, I do want to allow the opportunity to have some of our members from Wayne State kind of introduce themselves, just so that everyone is familiar or a bit familiar with each other. And I'll go ahead and start off. My name is Syrena. I am the campus coach and graduating and transfer advisor for the Detroit Promise Path Scholarship Program. Been working with the Detroit Promise for almost 4 years. And again, particularly to what we're doing today, I have a passion and a great interest in making sure that the students have a smooth transition from their 2-year to their partner in 4 years. So that's my introduction, and then I'll pass it along to whoever would like to go next.
Hello, I'm Smriti Panda, and I'm an admissions counselor in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. Really excited to be here. I think I have been part of this program with Syrena from the inception. So seen a lot of great things come out of it, seen a lot of excited students who have gone on and transferred to Wayne State. So anytime you need help from the admissions office, please feel free to reach out to me. When I do my presentation, I will provide my contact information. And if you happen to forget it, Syrena knows how to reach me too.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Eve Crandall, and I work in the financial aid office, and I've been in that position for 1 year. And prior to that, I did work in the transfer student success office. And I'm really passionate about helping transfer students and all students. And I'm really happy to participate today. And at the end of our presentation, we will have contact information too.
Hi, I am Erin Union. I am also a financial aid officer at Wayne State. I did just start in my position, so I will be shadowing and kind of taking notes on this. I'm very excited to see what you guys present and talk about today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ambrosia Naramore-Winfrey. Like Erin, I'm also a new financial aid officer with the Office of Financial Aid here at Wayne State, and I'm really happy to be here. I'll also be shadowing Eve and learning more about Detroit Promise and taking notes as well.
Awesome. So I think that was everybody. And thank you so much. Again, if I know I mentioned it before, but I want to thank the Wayne State team again for joining us throughout another transfer meeting. We appreciate you all just taking the time out of your busy day to join us and, to welcome the transfer students that'll be rolling in this upcoming new school year. So again, everybody, for the students that's here, we are going to provide contact information towards the end of the presentation. But, if you need to ask any questions or you have any questions throughout the meeting, you can always write it in the chat. And then we're also going to save a little bit of time for later towards the end, just for everyone to address those questions and concerns. So I'm going to go ahead and get started just with kind of like some reminders. So for the students, I know that, we've been speaking periodically throughout this school year just about the expectations and the requirements of the scholarship. So for those of you who are currently kind of wrapping up your last semester, you've heard me say, make sure you meet with your academic advisor, make sure that, you're meeting the requirements to get your associate's degree, or even just to meet the requirements in order to transfer specifically to Wayne State University. So the Detroit Promise Scholarship, transfer scholarship, students receive full tuition at their 2-year, which is one of our partner in 2 years here with the Detroit Promise. They decide that upon obtaining their degree, associate's degree, or meeting the transfer requirements, they may decide that they want to transfer to one of our partnering 4 years to obtain their bachelor's degree. So students have the ability to be able to take on that option after completing their 2 years at their two-year institution. Upon doing that, students have this scholarship and is able to transfer this scholarship to where they will get their last 2 years covered. And then I just kind of want to go into detail about what the Detroit Promise is. So For students who are currently receiving the scholarship, you know that the scholarship is tuition-based only. So when I say tuition-based only, that means that you do your FAFSA. After your FAFSA pays out whatever it is that it's going to pay out, the Detroit Promise Scholarship, which is the last dollar scholarship, is going to cover the remaining balance of the tuition. The Detroit Promise Scholarship, as you know it, students, as you're receiving it, does not cover room and board. It doesn't cover course fees, dining hall fees, course materials, things of that nature. So it's tuition based only. So it's going to be very important that you make sure your FAFSA is completed every year. And that's the first thing that's done according to, financial aid wise. After that's done, the Detroit Promise Scholarship will pay out. I do want to make note of this as well, just in case students need a reminder. Because the Detroit Promise Scholarship is a last dollar scholarship, any other scholarship that you receive in addition to it, it decreases the amount. So I've had it in some scenarios where students, they get the financial aid, they get the Detroit Promise Scholarship, and then they try to obtain additional scholarships only to realize that the amount that they receive for the Detroit Promise Scholarship decreased. The reason is, again, obviously, it's because it's a last dollar scholarship. So if you get funds and additional scholarships elsewhere, that's basically saying, oh, okay, well, that's the less that you need of this last dollar scholarship. So just something to keep in mind. I want to make sure again that you all are aware and make sure that FAFSA is completed, especially for those students that's planning to transfer this upcoming fall semester, fall 2024. You want to make sure that you have the most recent FAFSA application on file. Again, that's going to be the FAFSA 2024, fall 2024 through summer 2025. Again, we kind of talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but for students who kind of came in during the last part of that discussion, you have the opportunity to transfer throughout either the fall or the winter semester. You also want to make sure, and I know Smriti will talk more about these deadlines for applying to Wayne State University, but you want to make sure that you actually apply into the university. So if you are going into a particular program, say for example, maybe you're going to be enrolling in nursing, they may have different deadlines to when you can submit an application for that particular school. So it's important that while you're still here at your 2-year, wrapping up everything that you need, that you are paying attention to deadlines, meeting with your academic advisor here, speaking with maybe an admissions counselor at Wayne State to determine the deadline of when to submit the application for your school or for your program. You also want to make sure that you submit a Detroit Promise scholarship form with us. And so again, this is the scholarship form that you want to complete stating, I have met the requirements. And I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. The requirements, 3.0 GPA and 58 credits or more. And I want to be clear about the GPA too, because again, in the past, I've seen it where students are just like a point shy off from the requirement for the GPA. And they say, oh, Syrena, I have like a 2.97. Can you please work with me and, give me the scholarship? And unfortunately, I am unable to make that decision. The scholarship itself for the requirements are very, very straightforward. So it has to be that 3.0 GPA and 58 credits or more. Nothing less than that. So not to skip over those requirements, but again, once you complete the transfer form, it's going to ask you all of that information. What is your GPA? You have to make sure that you have your transcript submitted, what school you're transferring to, which in this case would be Wayne State University, and the semester that you plan to transfer to. That gets submitted. It goes to our panel team. It goes through a review process to see if the student is eligible or if the student qualifies. And then from that point on, the scholarship then gets transferred over to the Wayne State University financial aid team. And just the last part here, so I'm always available. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always send me an email and let me know. But other than that, I think I can go ahead and pass it to whoever would like to go next. I know that I gave Smriti co-host privileges, but if anyone is planning on going next, then I could go ahead and give you co-host access as well.
I'm going to get started. So let me go ahead and share my screen. How's everyone doing today? Good? Okay, I'm here to talk about Wayne State. I don't know how many of you here today have visited Wayne State or know anything about it. So I can tell you one thing, I'm always excited when we start talking about Wayne State, primarily because, wait, today's actually my 24th anniversary of being at Wayne State. So you can tell I've been here for quite a while. So I love all things Wayne State. I myself am an alum twice over of Wayne State. I have my master's and doctoral degree from Wayne State, and my two daughters graduated from Wayne State. So we're a proud warrior family. And so I hope you will join us in becoming alums of Wayne State. Some facts and figures about Wayne State. We were founded in 1868, and we were founded as the Detroit Medical College. We are the third largest university in Michigan, and we're one of Michigan's most diverse campuses. We have about 24,000 students from 47 states and 79 countries. But I always like to talk a little bit more about the other diversity that isn't mentioned here, which is the diversity of our student body. We have students who come to us directly from high school, but we also have 50% of our students are transfer students, just like yourself. We have students who come from dual enrollment, senior citizens who are finishing up, part-time, full-time. So you can see that it is extremely diverse when you look at the student body. It really is any one of your neighbors that you may be looking at, anyone in the seat next to you. We are definitely take pride in being academic strong. We have 350 different academic programs between grad and undergrad within our 13 schools and colleges. So hopefully there's a program that you are interested in, and we have it, and you have already started looking at what it takes to get in. For example, some of our programs you can get admitted to directly, and others have a secondary application, which is a two-plus application process, because these are the professional programs. So again, anytime you need help with any of these, you can always contact us. But I always tell students, go to our website and put in the program that you're interested in and check it out, see what it requires, see what the students are doing. And so, like I said, within 350 different programs, we should have what you're looking for. Another thing we really take pride is our student body faculty-student ratio, which is 16:1. Now, is this always in all of the classes? No. The beginning classes or a lot of the gen ed classes are going to be larger, but as you start taking your courses and getting into your program, the classes really are a lot smaller. And I can tell you that I actually teach part-time at Wayne State, and I've had classes where I've had 35 students in my class, which was a freshman survey class, to last semester when I taught, I had 8 students, and you can tell those students got a lot of attention, and and they're doing really well right now. I still keep in contact with my students. As far as rankings go, according to U.S. News and World Report, we are top 2 in the medical and law schools in Michigan, top 20 social work programs in the country, top 100 fine arts programs in the country, and top 5% of the Bachelor of Nursing programs in the country. We are listed among the top 25 global supply chain management. Now, these are just some of the rankings. Again, I always encourage students to go to the website for their program to get more in-depth information about the rankings for their specific programs. We're a Carnegie One research institution. We are one of the 3 universities that makes up the research corridor. We have about over 240 million in annual research expenditures. Now, why is research so important? Well, research means that the faculty who are teaching the classes are writing the books, they're doing their research, they're bringing cutting edge information to the classroom. This also means that you can also get your foot into for specific professional programs, particularly for the health sciences. It also means that our faculty have a lot of contacts in the business and industry. So as you start finishing out your program, you may be looking for a grad school, a professional program, or just to get your dream job. And these are the people who can write the letters of recommendations that you may need. I can't say enough about the student support services at Wayne State. This is just a list of few. Now, I always tell students in my 24 years, and I've been in higher ed for over 30 years, and that is, we all have a best friend that we take advice from. We have family members that we take advice from, and all of this is great. They give great sound advice. But when it comes to your academics at Wayne State and being on the right path to graduate, please take advantage of the support services that we provide. These are professionals that are hired by Wayne State to help you succeed, and they're here to help you along your journey as to cross the stage at commencement. Cannot say enough about the Academic Success Center, University Advising Center. I mean, these are academic advisors that are going to give you the roadmap for what you need to graduate. And of course, as you're getting ready to graduate, you want to be in touch with career services for internships and co-ops, how to prepare your resume. And, as you come to Wayne State, new environment, feeling a little overwhelmed, that's what we have our office for counseling and psychological services. And as a transfer student, if you haven't already done so, I really advise that you take advantage of everything our Transfer Student Success Center has to offer. They offer everything from drop-in advising, virtually and physically. They'll do MTA checks. They can do preliminary transfer credit evaluations. They have a learning community. So again, all of this is there to help our students succeed. Student life is there at Wayne State. It is really a vibrant campus, particularly in the fall. You see it or any good sunny day. You see students all around campus, which is something I'd love to see. We have over 500 different clubs and organizations. So if there's a club or organization you're really passionate about, you can always fill out the form and petition with the Dean of Students office and start another club or organization. That's how we got to over 500. We do recommend that you find some club or organization that suits your passion and needs to stay involved. All the research has shown that students who stay actively engaged do really well. And that makes sense because they're able to develop a support system of their own peers around them. And gives them a sense of belonging. If you're into athletics, we have 18 different NCAA teams. We are a Division II school. I do encourage that you go to our athletics website, athletics.wayne.edu, and check out the different sports that we have. And if you're interested in playing with any of those athletics, you can contact the coaches there directly. Students often ask, do I have to live on campus, as well as, can I live on campus? The answer to, do you have to live on campus, is no. Again, that goes back to the diversity I was talking about. A lot of our students do commute. If you do choose to live on campus, we have some pretty nice, amazing residence halls and apartments. Right now, we have space for 3,200 students to live on campus. We have learning communities. We have 7 different residence halls and apartment buildings. And we also have the first-year resident experience that goes with this. For additional information about our housing, I do encourage that you go to our housing webpage, housing.wayne.edu. If you haven't noticed, with anything that you want to search on our Wayne's websites, just put in that name plus wayne.edu. It'll take you to that. Now, apart from this, we also have a number of apartments around Wayne State that are literally right across the street. These are independent apartments, not owned by Wayne State. They are privately owned, but they're, like I said, right across. There's a lot to do in the Wayne State area. I mean, we are in Midtown Detroit. We have a lot of cultural attractions around us. Sometimes people will say, well, I don't know where Wayne State is. And I would say, well, do you know where the DIA is or the Science Center? They say, yes, I do, right across the street from it. Any of the sports venues. So if you like to enjoy walking or just traveling around the Midtown area, you can jump on the Q line and go straight down to the Campus Martius area. You can walk around there. You can go take a look at Ford Field or Little Caesars Arena. There's a lot to do around the Midtown area. The most important thing I do want to bring to you is, how do you get to Wayne State? Well, the first thing you want to do is apply. And that's pretty simple. It's an online application. You can visit wayne.edu/apply, complete the online application. Now, one thing I always tell students to do is don't forget to hit the submit button, because sometimes students will complete the application but never submit it. And we can't make a decision if we haven't had your application submitted to us. There is a $25 application fee, but if for some reason you're not able to pay that application fee, not to worry. You can definitely contact our office and we'll look into waiving it. Once you've submitted your application, the next thing you want to do is submit your transcripts. Now, we do need transcripts from all schools or colleges that you've attended after high school, regardless of whether those grades or courses will transfer or not. We have to have all of the academic records as well as all of the transcripts, official transcripts, because this has an implication for financial aid. Now, if you have less than 24 transferable credit hours, we will also need your high school transcript so that we have that for secondary review. Now, if you've taken and if you are giving us your high school transcripts for secondary review, if you have taken the ACT or SAT, you can provide those to us, or we'll give you the documents for the test optional. Now, getting admitted, what does it take to get admitted? Well, as the minimum requirements are, you need to have 24 transferable credit hours from previous college work. And this is, we do a cumulative analysis. So we will look at college work from all schools that you've attended. So as long as you have a minimum of 24 transferable credit hours and a minimum of 2.5 GPA from all higher education institutions that you've attended, you would be considered admissible. Now, we know that life happens, and sometimes students may have the 24 transferable credit hours, but may not have the 2.5. And that's when we say, we understand life has happened. So there's other ways to get into Wayne State, and that is to stay at the community college to finish your associate's degree. So anyone who has completed an associate's degree can also be admitted to Wayne State as long as they have cumulative GPA of 2.0 or higher. And again, if you have less than the 24 transferable credit hours, we will look at your high schools, but you have to have a minimum of 2.5 on your college transcript for us to be able to do a secondary review using your high school. Can't say enough about scholarships and financial aid. It is critical. And I tell students, it doesn't matter if you don't think you're going to get anything. Please complete the FAFSA. You don't know what you may get. And in addition to that, some of our scholarships require, and grants, institutional grants, require that you have a FAFSA online. And I will let financial aid talk more about the financial aid deadline, since they have changed. But again, it is important to do that. But I do want to talk about our scholarship, merit-based scholarship deadlines, which is for our transfer students. Winter is October 1st, and for fall, it is June 1st. So you really want to go ahead and send, if you're thinking of transferring for fall, you really need to get started now. Go ahead and complete your application for admissions and send us your transcript so we can start the scholarship review. Again, our community college scholarships, this is some of the merit-based scholarships. If you go to our scholarships website, scholarships.wayne.edu, it'll give you additional information about other scholarships apart from our community college transfer scholarship. These are just some estimated expenses. And again, I use the word estimated loosely because different students have different ways that they live. Some people live with roommates, others are commuting, some are living on campus. But this is to just give you a very quick snapshot of what you can expect. So once you've completed your application, you want to file the FAFSA. And once you've been admitted, please accept your admission. Accepting your admission does not mean that you're committing at that moment. And please make sure you accept any scholarships that have been awarded to you, because otherwise they're not going to get put on your FAFSA. The other thing you want to do is pay your enrollment deposit. Now, once you pay your enrollment deposit is when you've really committed to the school. Once that's happened, to register for orientation. I know with transfer students, there's always that question, do I need to register for orientation? I always say yes. Even though you already have some college experience under your belt, every institution is different. So by going to orientation, you're not only going to be able to meet with an academic advisor from your program, but you'll get a lot of other resources from Wayne State that I think is critical to the academic success of every student. And if you're thinking of living on campus, you definitely want to contact housing and make those arrangements. As far as, again, some stuff on transferring to Wayne State, there was once a time we had a credit limit. We no longer have that 64 credit limit to transfer. So all of that is off. And what I've listed here is what I've considered some helpful websites for transfer students, such as, our transfer admissions website, the website for transfer credit, the scholarships, and definitely the Transfer Success Center. Okay, and here is my contact information. If you can't remember how to say my first name, not a problem. Most people call me Dr. Panda, like the panda bear, so it's easy to find. And you can always email me directly. I know students want to call. I will tell you, it's a lot quicker and faster to get through to me via emailing me than calling me, because if I'm in a meeting with a student or anything else, I'm not able to take that call. So then we end up playing telephone tag with students. I always say the first line is go ahead and email me. And if you do email me, please leave me, give me your full name as it appears on your application so I can look it up if you've already applied. Okay, I am done with my part. And then later on, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them here today, or you can contact me. Thank you.
Okay, and then I can give co-hosts access to whoever would like to go next.
That would be me. You can go ahead and give me access.
All righty, you're all set.
Okay, can everybody see my screen there?
I can't see it
You've
from
not
my
seen
end.
it yet? Okay.
There it is, perfect.
Okay, very good. All right. So thanks very much for inviting us. We're really happy to be here. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Detroit Promise Scholarship and some general information about financial aid. And we'll have our contact information at the end. We can stick around for questions, and we're more than happy to help you along the way, as many questions as you have. So as was mentioned earlier by Syrena, the Detroit Promise Scholarship is covering tuition. It's covering tuition after any other scholarships you might have are applied first. And it also would apply other awards such as the Pell Grant first. And then once all those funds are exhausted, if you still owe any tuition money, then the Detroit Promise would kick in and pay the remainder of the tuition. It also pays standard fees. Those would be fees that every student at Wayne State are charged. So if you have a particular course fee that is just charged to you, it would not cover that. If you have a program fee, such as maybe you're in engineering, I know they have a program fee. So you would be responsible for those. But the Detroit Promise would cover tuition and standard fees. And as was mentioned earlier, you do have to have a 3.0 GPA. You have to have at least 58 credits or have an associate's degree. And you have to meet the Wayne State admission requirements that Smriti talked about. And we absolutely want you to complete the FAFSA. So that is the key component to getting any kind of financial aid, is making sure that you have the FAFSA completed. And as was mentioned earlier, the scholarship is renewable for 2 years. or 2 years total, I guess. So it's renewable for one. You get first year and then 1 year renewed. To keep that scholarship for the second year, you do have to apply for the FAFSA again for the following year. You have to maintain a 2.5 GPA at Wayne State. And when you transfer courses in, your credits transfer, but your grades do not. So you would be starting with a fresh GPA at Wayne State. So we're looking for a 2.5 to get the scholarship for the next year. And you do have to maintain full-time enrollment every semester you're at Wayne State. The scholarship covers fall and winter only. So we're talking about fall and winter, you have to have a minimum of 12 credits of enrollment each term. And we do recommend that you enroll in more. Typically, we recommend 15 credits or more to stay on track to graduate in a 4-year time frame. And Wayne State did change its tuition calculation this past year. So you can actually take up to 18 credit hours for the same flat rate fee. So if you were to take 12 credits all the way up to 18 credits, that tuition charge is the same. And if you have the Detroit Promise, it's going to cover tuition anyway. So you don't really need to worry as long as you're in at least 12 credits. And you must actually not just enroll in those credits, but pass 12 credits each fall and each winter. If you do get your bachelor's degree sooner than the 2 years, then your Detroit Promise scholarship would then, stop at that point. So we want to talk a little bit about the FAFSA. I don't know if any of you might have tried to complete the FAFSA, but there was a rollout of a new FAFSA this year, and it was delayed quite a bit. It normally is out in October, but it wasn't available until December. And there have been some delays and some glitches, but they're getting through a lot of that, I understand now. And you should be able to submit it now if you haven't already. And we do recommend that you submit the FAFSA as soon as you're able. And if you would like some individual help with it, we are offering FAFSA events, as you can see there, which we would welcome you to come to any of those FAFSA events if you'd like some individual help with it. So just want to briefly talk about other kinds of financial aid, but there are the FAFSA is to give people access to federal financial aid. There can be grants that you would not have to pay back. You could be eligible for work study. So if you were looking to pay some other costs that aren't covered by tuition, such as housing or transportation, books, things like that, if you're eligible, you could get work study funds. And all students are offered loans, which if you again need additional funds, you would be able to get those loans. And of course, loans have to be paid back. And it was mentioned earlier that there are transfer merit scholarships that are based on your academic record as a transfer student. And just to reiterate, if you get these, they would apply to tuition first. So it would not be on top of the Detroit Promise. We would apply these scholarships first. And then if you still owed tuition and standard fees, the Detroit Promise would pick that up. Most awards require that students be full-time, and some awards require that you earn 30 credits a year as opposed to the 24 for the Detroit Promise. And here's just some information about other scholarships that you could search and take a look at and see if there's anything else that you could apply for. You will probably get emails from Scholarship Universe. This is a matching system that we have on campus. So you might get emails every now and then letting you know that there's a scholarship that might match your criteria that you could apply for. And keep in mind, it's not just this year, but every year. So when you're a student next year, you could be applying for scholarships for the following academic year. And so just to go over this again, the costs that will be on your e-bill would be direct costs that we're billing you for. So it would be tuition, standard fees, course fees, program fees. And if you choose to live on campus, it would be housing and meal plan. And then you might have additional costs that you want to be prepared for, such as transportation or parking or rent if you're not living on campus, and books and supplies. So even if all your tuition is covered, you might need to plan for perhaps taking loans or perhaps doing work study if you need assistance in covering some of those other costs. So this is our contact information. And as I mentioned, we are more than happy to work with people throughout the year. You can drop into the Welcome Center during regular business hours, like 8:30 to 5, or you could give us a call, or you could email us. We have a whole team of people that answer the phones and answer the email. So it's better to do that generic way to contact us rather than trying to contact us individually, because we're all working such different schedules. You'll probably get quicker service if you just email us at the student service email listed there. And we're happy to stay around and take some questions if you have any.
Thank you so much, Eve and Smriti, for sharing that helpful information, and also the contact information. So students, make sure that you're writing down all of this important stuff, right? Because now you have people from actually the Wayne State team who you can send an email to if you have questions or concerns regarding your transfer process. I also wanted to mention this too, because I forgot to mention this in the beginning. Once you transfer over, you have your successful transfer and everything, in order to maintain the scholarship, you have to do 2 full years straight through. So sometimes like students that's already successfully transferred, they'll email me and say, hey, Syrena, I was just wondering, can I take a gap semester or can I take a gap year? You cannot take any gaps. You have to go the full 2 years. Again, it only will cover, the scholarship is only awarded for the fall and the winter semesters. It will not cover for summer semesters. Because sometimes students will say, well, I want to take summer courses. Unfortunately, it will not cover during the summertime. So you got to go for 2 fall semesters, 2 winter semesters, no gaps, in order to maintain the scholarship. And then if there are any questions or concerns, we have about 10 to 15 minutes left before we head out. So feel free to write it in the chat.
I have a question. Could I say it or do you want me to type it?
Whichever you prefer, Jay.
Um, so just for some background information, I came from OCC. I got my associate's degree. This was just revealed to me, last week. So I was on degree works like in the Wayne State Stars or whatever. So on my credits transferred, it say 58 or something like that, or 60, because that's what I transferred over with. And again, I have my associate's degree, but on the progress bar, it says like 17 to 22%. And it was saying like my classification is a sophomore, but it's like, I already did 2 years and I know like I heard you guys talking about an appeal for the 3rd year. Like at that rate, if I'm a sophomore transferring over, I'm gonna have to do like 3. So it was like, could I possibly get an appeal for one? And then for two, I was wondering what it was going based off of, like was it going off the percentage or the credits? Because it said I transferred over with like 60. So, that's half of what's needed to graduate, I guess. But I was just confused on that because when I transferred over, like I said, this was just revealed to me last week. They told me, Wayne State told me like, oh yeah, your transcript doesn't say MIT. I never knew anything about MIT, like MTA.
MTA,
And
yeah.
I never knew anything about MTA. And I called OCC like, hey, can you put this on my transcript? And they like, oh, you don't got a social science. My counselor told me the class I had, like I took politics and American government or something like that. She told me it was social science, but they said it had to be a natural science. So I was just listening to my counselors at OCC. So, but
Yeah,
apparently that wasn't good enough. So it's seeming like since I was misinformed, like they not about to transfer like all of my credits over, and that's gonna put me in a bind because it's like I'm about to have to go for a longer period of time.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Jay, and I'm happy that you brought that up so we can have everybody kind of like chime in from Wayne State now just to, give better information. But from what I'm hearing from you, you completed your 2 years at OCC. You
Yeah.
turned in your transcript to Wayne State. They're saying that they
Hmm.
don't see an MTA stamped on your transcript, and because of that, you don't have the credits. But again, because you are a promise student and you're trying to get the promise scholarship transferred over, the requirements for the promise scholarship is actually higher than the MTA agreements. Now, if you are going into a specific program, so say for example, nursing or business administration, you will have to have a certain amount of credits in order to get into that program. Say for example, you might be missing 3 credits from OCC for criminal justice and you need 3 more credits in order to get into the criminal justice program at Wayne State. You have to
Hmm.
transfer to Wayne State, take that one class that you need left, and then you're able to enroll into the program. Now, if you don't have like a specific program or anything like that, you're just trying to get your credits transferred over, the credit requirement, as long as you meet for the Detroit Promise Scholarship, is well above the MTA for Wayne State. I think the MTA credit transfer is like 30 credits and a 2.0 GPA. The Detroit Promise, you have to have 58 or more credits and a 3.0 GPA in order
Right.
transfer over. So that's well above like what you need. Um, and this is the first time that I'm hearing that. And
Yeah.
I've been
What
transferring students for some years now, but this is the first time that this has come up.
what they was telling me is the MTA is gonna rule out a lot of gen ed classes or whatever. It's like is what they were saying. Like the MTA, if you got that stamp, it's gonna rule out gen ed classes. But what I'm saying is it looks like on my Wayne State stars, since I don't have that MTA stamps, I'm gonna have to take more gen ed classes, which is gonna take more of my time because I don't have that stamp. Is that like true?
I'll
Well,
let either Eve or
yeah,
Smriti.
yes, the MTA definitely helps with the gen eds. And you mentioned that, you had over 2 years there, but you didn't like but your degree works look different. There's a difference between courses taken and courses that will transfer to Wayne State. We always tell students to make sure that you're taking courses that will transfer to Wayne State. And the other thing is, courses that are a C minus or below a C actually, don't necessarily, you get they don't transfer over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I would encourage you to do in your situation is really talk to your academic advisor for your specific program and have them sit down with you and go over your transcript and your degree works and see where the gaps are.
Yeah, I scheduled a meeting with them, but they don't have any availability until April 1st. And it's like I want first dibs on the classes. I know the semester end in April, so it's just like I'm kind of
Right. April 1st is doing pretty good. Again, our academic advisors are getting to the students, but I would really start there. And it sounds like it's very possible that although you took a lot of courses, some of them may not have been transferable courses.
And that's interesting that you bring that up, Smriti, because when I started with the transfer students a few years ago, it used to be 58 transferable credits, right? Because there's certain classes here at Schoolcraft that may not transfer over to Wayne State. However, again, somewhere like on the back end, it was changed. And so it's not as specific with transferable credits. You just need this amount of credits in order to transfer over. But now that this concern is raised, I do think that's another great question just to kind of jot down and bring up that we have to make sure that students are aware that if they're entering into a certain program, then it's going to have to be emphasized that transferable credits. So whatever is offered at their 2 year has to transfer over to Wayne State.
Right. So what's going into degree works is transferable credit hours. So again, I'm not an expert in the advising area, so this is why it's really important to talk to the academic advisor and let them figure out what's going on and help you along with that process. And because you didn't have the MTA, if you have to take some of the gen eds, they'll be able to tell you which specifically ones you need to take to kind of move you along with the towards your graduation requirements.
Right. So if like let's just say because of this situation I came short within 2 years, would this Syrena, I remember you said at the beginning of the call like it would have to be something that they deemed like applicable for an extension of the scholarship. Do you think like this would just be something like do you think this would be deemable acceptable like for an extension, or would this just be like, oh, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, so
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't want to say like anything certain because I don't want to get anybody's hopes up or, say something and then you get there and then it's a completely different answer. So I'm just gonna say that I'm not sure. If you get to that point, if you reach 2 years and you're like, oh, like I need like another semester, then you would be able to reach out to the point people who oversees the transfer scholarship. I just advise our transfer students, make sure that you have the credit, make sure that you have the GPA, make sure you apply to Wayne State, transfer out with the scholarship. After that, we usually have a university engagement manager there that you're able to interact with. But again, I would say just try to wait until you get closer to that point just to see what's able to work out. Um, but I know students, prior to you officially transferring, I try to make sure that y'all are aware, meet with your academic advisor here at your 2 year periodically prior to approaching graduation. That is so that if you are going into a particular program, which is stated in your next steps that I send out to everyone, if you're going to be entering into a program, you have to make sure that you have the credits that's needed for that program in order for it to be transferred over. So that way everybody is prepared. But I think what Smriti said, Jay, is a good idea, which is to get an appointment with your academic advisor as soon as possible, just to kind of take a look at your transcripts to see what classes are going to be transferred over to Wayne State, and then how much longer you're going to need at Wayne State in order to get your bachelor's degree. And I'm sorry, we've been kind of talking back and forth, but I think Eve was going to add in here.
Oh, I was just going to say that, yeah, the April 1st appointment with your Wayne State advisor is a good appointment. That's a good appointment time because Wayne State students are starting to register for classes next week. So I'm sure, advisors are pretty booked up with meeting with students. So April 1st is a great date. And I was also going to say that, if you meet with your Wayne State advisor and find out what it is you need to do, you could also meet with a transfer student success center staff member, because if there is a question about that MTA, they can often help you to figure that out. And, it might be possible for you to take summer classes, at the community college that would benefit you even before you start in the fall at Wayne State.
okay.
At least that's something to explore, is how might that change the picture for you if you were to get the MTA finished before you actually start at Wayne State.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Zara, you wrote some things here in the chat and have yet to hear from my coach. When you say coach, like, are you talking about your academic advisor or? Campus. So remember, Zara, there's no campus coaches at our 2 years. Or I'm sorry, at the 4 years. So you have your campus coach here at our partner in 2 years. So I'm your campus coach here at Schoolcraft. And then we got Jackson College. We got OCC, which is where Jay is coming from. We have Macomb, we got HFC, and then we have WC3. That is where our campus coaches are at. Now at our transfer schools like Wayne State, Oakland University, Rochester, Madonna University, U of M, so on and so forth, there are no campus coaches. At Wayne State, I believe they tried to have like university engagement managers. I don't know if they're still there, but I know that they were set in place to kind of work with promise students. So it's kind of like up in the air, but either way, you know, you'll be in good hands. And then, like I said in the beginning of the meeting, I still have students that transferred over. Like I just met one of our reconnected with one of my students from 3 years ago who just graduated from Wayne State with her bachelor's for business administration. And so throughout that time, she always reached out like, hey, Syrena, I got a question. If I didn't know the answer, then we get her connected with someone at Wayne State who did know the answer. So I'm always here. For as long as I'm here, you can always send me an email if you have questions or concerns. At least until we get a campus coach. Hopefully that's somewhere like in the future, because we do realize how important it is for students just to have that additional one-on-one support throughout their college career. So hopefully it's something that comes up. Thank you, Zara. Yes, yep. So I filled out the Detroit Promise form and have been admitted into Wayne with the credits and GPA requirements. Am I all set for the scholarship? So you just have to wait to get a reply. Usually you get like a confirmation email, like if you haven't gotten one already, but it'll tell you, hey, you know, we received your scholarship form. Wait X amount of weeks until you hear back. But typically there's somebody on the opposite end who will send, if you meet the requirements, which I'm sure you do, they send that over to the Wayne State Financial Aid Office. Now, just like any other financial aid office, Zara, you know, like here, how it goes, like at Schoolcraft, the financial aid office, they have so many students that they have to get to. Sometimes it can take a certain amount of time before you see it reflected. Now, some students will get anxious about that and they're like, oh, you know, I still have this balance on my account. What happened to my Detroit Promise scholarship? 9 times out of 10, it just has not been applied yet, but it doesn't prevent you from starting classes on time. The only thing that it would prevent is from you starting that following semester. And if you're, say, for example, enrolled for the fall semester, that's like 4 months of time for the financial aid team to get the scholarship rewarded to your account. So, you know, I tell students all the time, don't stress yourself out about it. Just go to class. You were approved. Don't worry about it. Just kind of check periodically for your award letter to see the scholarship applied. And Jay, does that answer your question as well?
I can just jump in there and add that because of the changes in the FAFSA this year, we have not received, in the financial aid office, we have not received FAFSA data for any student yet for fall semester. And that's because of the changes from the Department of Ed. Mm-hmm. So we will probably definitely be delayed this year in doing packages for students. So anybody who doesn't have any award notice, that's totally understandable right now, because we have not even processed the FAFSA yet. And the FAFSA is part of the requirements for this scholarship. So not to worry.
Yeah, it's the same thing here even at Schoolcraft. Like I have students all the time where, you know, every semester the award letter hasn't been applied yet, and it's no one's fault. It's just, you know, the financial aid department, no matter whether it's here, Wayne State, Western, no matter where it is, it's very complex, and it's kind of like a slow moving process. So we try to keep the students at ease, continue to tell them just finish out the semester. Now, if you get toward like you in the last semester and you still haven't seen it applied, then there's a raise of concern, and then we would have to problem solve. But just go to classes as normal and, you know, try not to worry too much. And Jay, I believe Kanisha they reached out to you or something like that. Because I know you reach out periodically. And the last time that someone contacted you, they confirmed with you that you were already approved or that they had received it?
Yeah, I had filled out a form last summer for this upcoming fall, and then I filled out another one for this upcoming fall. But I had sent out an email like I believe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they said that Wayne State like still didn't get back to them, so they was just waiting or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. So if the last part that you've heard, I think Kanisha responded to you January 16th. That was this year, if you remember. And they confirmed with you, we received your application, but the information was sent to Wayne State, and you have to wait for the financial aid department to approve that. So right now you're in the waiting process, so you haven't heard anything yet. But the last that you heard, it was transferred over to Wayne State, and you just have to wait for it to get approved.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Have a good one, Zara. I think she's gone already. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna take one more question. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it's 5:01. You know, I know the Wayne State team has been working really hard. It's Thursday. We're getting ready for the weekend, and I don't want to take up anybody else's time. Aaliyah, I'll stay back and answer your question, but if you have any other questions for the Wayne State team, hopefully you jotted down all of their contact information. But if not, then I'm gonna send an email to everybody that attended so that you have their emails to reach out to them as well. But thank you so much, Wayne State team, for joining me again, or us again, for another Wayne State Detroit Promise transfer meeting. It was a pleasure having you all here.
Thank you.
Thank you
It's
guys so
always a
much for the
Thank you.
informational piece. Have a
Thank
great one.
you.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Okay, Aaliyah, you said, where would I get the promise application transfer? So I'm about to send it to you now. Didn't I send it to you?
I don't think I got a Detroit Promise transfer application because I didn't know it was one.
Yeah, let me pull it up right now because your last name is, are you Marlon's student?
No, I'm Christina's student. I'm from OCC.
Christina. Okay, let me see.
Yes, my last name is Coe, C-O-E.
Christina. Yeah, I definitely talked to you. And I just talked to you Thursday. Do you know of any counselors? Okay, in the preparation. Let me see.
Yes, I just scheduled I just scheduled with an advisor, so I'm supposed to meet with someone next week, Tuesday.
Yeah, so I sent, and let's see, and see y'all, I'm sure Christina tell y'all, because I tell my students all the time, like, read your emails, read everything, because if you skip over it or if you don't read it, then you're going to be skipping a lot of information that's in there. So in that email that I sent on Tuesday, I sent it to all of our transfer students transferring to Wayne State. Let me stop recording this really quick because I didn't realize it was still recording.
Okay.